Hi, everybody. Thanks for joining Create with Dee. I'm Dee Slater, an independent Stampin' Up! Demonstrator. Welcome to my channel. Today, we are going to have a fun fold that's going to feature splashes of sparkle designer series paper. And it's also one of my upcoming creative classes to go. And so it's one of the 3 cards that you can make in this kit. But I wanted to go over, I'm just in love with this paper. I really wanted to share it with all of you and maybe give you everybody a little sneak peek of what my classes, when you would get them as a kit to go, might look like as well. Also, I'm going to be sharing some tips on paper cutting, a little bit on how I approach maximizing the designer paper when I go to cut, and what I look for in the measurements. And so just a little tips on that. This, besides the designer paper, I'm also focusing on 2 stamp sets. Oh, and I probably will have to go and grab those. It's Addressed to You. It's a really cute stamp set that you can use for decorating the outside of your envelopes and still write, the address and everything on it. So it's another way of getting some stamped images on there, as well as, oh goodness, around something or other, or hello over arounds. I'm going to have to go and grab those here. But as always, as you come on, if you want to say hello, let me know where you're watching from. I'm here in Northeast Indiana in a city called Kendallville, north of Fort Wayne, Indiana. And at the time of this video, we are in about a 3-week cold span. We've had minus wind chill factors in the morning and in the evening for, it seems like, 2 weeks. It's just, I'm over it. And so hopefully we get out of this pretty quickly. I was talking with some friends from California, and they're like, oh, it's, chilly here in the evening. It's, 60. So it's all relative, right? Okay. I'm going to go and grab those stamp sets real quick. I'll be right back. Sorry about that. They're in another room. Make it real quick. Well, maybe not. Maybe I was. Oh, I'm on it. I just had my trimmer doing it. Okay, so these are the stamps that we're going to do. Why am I always a hot mess with live? I think it's just because it's live. So a round of hellos and the Addressed to You are the stamp sets that we're going to use. All right, so here's, let me turn the camera around and we'll kind of talk about the card here just a little bit. All righty, so this is the fun fold that we're going to make today. It's got a really cute flap on it. It really can highlight your pattern paper if you want, and which is what I want because I'm in love with these bright colors on splashes of color. So like I mentioned earlier, this is part of my like a card kit to go. So when you get your package in the mail, this is what it would look like. So like this class, it actually comes with the stamp set and half a pack of the designer paper. I'll show you the designer paper here. I've got this one, all the designer paper pre-cut for the sake of our class here today, but you would cut your own paper on that. But everything else that I possibly can either emboss or die cut for you as far as the embellishments are done for you. Okay, so that's going to be what we do here. But I do want to, in case you haven't seen this, this paper can be found, it's not in the mini catalog, it's under the online exclusives, and it's kind of a standalone. It's not part of a suite of products, but if you're like me and you like fun and colorful, maybe this is for you too. So let me just kind of show you the paper here. Love this. And I'm going to show you tips on how to cut the paper to get the color that you might want to focus on. Look at that. So one side's going to have some gold accents to it. That's the splashes of sparkle. That's the sparkle part of it. This one's got some silver tones. I like this. You can stamp on the geometric shapes and then, punch out or or die cut out. I'm going to be using this one here today. Look how cute that is together. Again, some more geometrics. Kind of, it's almost like a pink leopard kind of abstract on that. Love that one. So I love even the non-shiny side just as much as the other. But that would be the half a pack that you would get. But I just wanted you to see the card, that in case you missed it on the online exclusives. All right, so like I said, I've got a little, I'm going to get started on here and I'll throw up the measurements. Well, why don't I do that? So let me throw up the measurements. So for this card, here's the measurements, and you can take a screenshot of that if you'd like. And I'm actually going to put on another microphone here. So last time I had 2 microphones on and then I had a little delay. So hopefully this goes good. But anyways, there's the screenshot. And what I want you to kind of take a notice of is under the Splash of Sparkles, you'll see that there's 2 of the measurements for the designer paper, the pattern 1. The same measurement is 5 1/4. That's the length on it. And I'll kind of show you some tips on how you can, take advantage of and how to cut the paper on that. All right, so let me go ahead and get that off of here. And we'll go back this way. Okay. So what I did for this, let me grab the designer paper. I've already got this one cut. But let me share with you how I look at maximizing the paper. Okay. So when I see that a measurement is, like I've got several of them that are 5 1/4, for example, instead of, what I like to do is cut all of the same measurements, as long as the paper goes the same way, is cut all of those at once. And since I want the paper on this one, I want the orientation to go this way, I'm going to cut that 5 1/4. I'm going to turn it 1/4 of a turn and cut it there, and then cut the rest of it. So for this card, that's what I did. I cut it at 5 1/4 first. And then here are the sections that I have. And so then I cut the 4. And then I cut the 2 3/4. So that's pattern 1. And then I have, this is what's left over. And then I cut the 1 inch. So this will be scrap that I can use for something else. And then from this 1 inch, we need a 3 1/4. Okay, so that's how I did that for an ease of a cut. So instead of going 5 1/4 this way and then cut, I did it all at once. So that's that kind of cutting tip on that, is kind of look for those measurements that are the same. And then for this, I'm going to be using our pattern 2 of the designer series paper on top of Shy Shamrock cardstock. And when I cut the paper, I want to make sure, if I would just cut it here and stop, I don't have enough of the Shy Shamrock. And so what I did, so if you get this class kit to go, this is how I got where I want it. So the pattern 2 here, this is, I need it 3 1/4 this way. So that's going to be what I did first. So I'm looking for the section here on my paper that has the most Shy Shamrock at 3 3/4. So this was pretty good here. Okay, so that's going to be that. And then this is where I want the top to be. So I'm going to just go ahead and cut this section off. And now I'm going to turn it because I want to have majority of the, I want to have several Shy Shamrock pieces to go with my cardstock. And then this is cut at 4 1/2. So 3 1/4. Actually, I think I did 3 1/2. So let me trim this down. So I want this, and again, I'm cutting it to get the maximum of the color I want to highlight. All right, so that ends up with a little more scrap than what you would have, but the main point of that is I do want to highlight the color of the cardstock. So that's how you can kind of cut around and get, when you say, well, how did she get that? That's how I did it. Okay. All right, so that's all the cutting that we need to have. All right, so now get all of this out of here. Let's go ahead and we'll look at the rest of it. So again, this would be very typical of what you would get in my kits. You would cut your own designer paper, then everything else that I possibly could do for you, I do, so that you feel really nice and special on that. All right, so let's go ahead and we'll put the card base together. Five and a half by 8 1/2. Score it at 1 1/4. And then you'll want to trim off from one of the sides from, at the end here at 1 1/4 from the end. This leaves a 3-inch section here. And then from this would be, now I'm freezing again. Darn it. Okay. Oh, shoot. Oh, this internet of mine. We had the same trouble at home and it was doing so good. So this will end up being a 1 1/4 by 5 1/2, and I'm going to score it at 2. Okay, so let's go ahead and we'll get our bone folder here. And I do want to get a nice crisp fold. Okay, so on this 2-inch section here, I'm going to put adhesive. I'm using liquid glue. And I'm going to position this approximately 1 inch from the bottom. There's no right or wrong. It's just wherever that you want to do it. And then I like to kind of tap because I want that fold line there to line up with the right edge of our card base. Okay, so that's how that looks. And now we can take our designer paper. So this is the 5 1/4 by 4. I love these colors. This is Timid Tiger, and it's Pretty in Pink or Bubble Bath. It's kind of in between the two. It's kind of a nice blend. And then the gold. I just really love this combination of that paper here. So that's going to go on the inside, and that's going to cover up, that 2-inch section that we glued to the front of the inside. And then we can take our 5 1/4 by 2 3/4 section, and we're going to glue that to the card front. So sometimes on the videos, what I like to do is, I know some of my YouTube viewers, they like to kind of get to the nitty gritty of the fold. And, so that's, so out of respect for that, so you don't have to watch the whole video. If you just want to say, like, show me the basic card thing, you can just watch the beginning of it. But then if you want to watch the stamping and some of the other tips and tricks, you can, keep watching to the end. So this is our designer paper. That's 1 by 3 1/4. And we're just going to put that on the front. So that's kind of the basic fun fold, and then we're going to add another layer. But, you can do a lot with just that. That's a pretty card just by itself. All All right, so to complete our designer paper and what I'm calling like the basic layout here, this is our splashes of sparkle that was 4.5 by 3 1/4. And we're going to layer that on Shy Shamrock. Actually, I had it right to begin with. Well, I'm going to go forward with it anyways. I was looking at the wrong dimension on that. Darn it. All right, so pretend that that's this. So it was 3.5. I had it right to begin with. Daggone it. And then that's going to go over a 4 3/4 by 3.5. Maybe this one's just wrong. No, well, que sera. I will come back and I will cover this up. Okay, and then because I don't have any other stamping on top of this, I'm going to cut another layer and smack it right on top of it. All right, so this is going to go centered here. So I want to put glue on basically like the 2/3 on the back side of the left. And leave this open because it's going to overhang. So you can go about halfway just to play it safe with adhesive. And then like I go ahead and close this down, and then I want this centered. And you would take the time to recut that designer paper. All right, so you have that. All right, let's do some stamping. Okay, so that's what that would look like when it's cut right. All right, so I'm absolutely bonkers for this addressed to you. And the reason why I love it is that we can really decorate the outside of our envelopes. And so I'm going to go ahead and start out with that. And well, let's go ahead and we'll finish up the card here. All right, so what I'd like to do first is I'm going to take the little flower image from Addressed to You, because this is going to go on the outside of our envelope. And since I'm going to be using my Stampin' Blends, I'm going to use Tuxedo Black Memento ink. And I want to stamp this on first. This is a 2 3/4 inch circle punch in basic white. So I want to stamp the image close to the outer edge of that. And I'm going to go ahead and use the light Timid Tiger. And we'll color our flowers. So the local stampers are going to be taking this class on Saturday. So I've got a pretty full house on Saturday because, again, as mentioned, the weather was kind of icky the beginning part of the week. And so some of the gals that had signed up for Tuesday, they're coming over on Saturday, because who wanted to be out when it was all of that minus degrees? And then I'm using the light Shy Shamrock. And, you know, I'm just adding the color to it. Now I'm going to take Timid Tiger, and I'm using the Round of Hellos, Oh Happy Day. And I'll get that inked up. And this is why I wanted to put the flower on first, because I want to make sure that I want to use the rest of the area for Oh Happy Day. And I didn't want to stamp that first because then I might not have room for the flower if I didn't get it just right. Cute. All right. So this is going to get layered onto the Stylish Shapes circle. This is the second largest circle. And then we're going to have some Stampin' Dimensionals. And as you can see here on the card that, you know, there's no dimensionals here. It's just on the bottom. So what you can do if you'd like is, I'm just going to put some of the dimensionals here. I'm going to put 3 kind of in a little triangle. And we'll do that. And then our Oh Happy Day, I kind of have that rusted on the bottom there. Okay, and then for the inside, what I did is I just repeated that look for the flowers, did it on the corner, colored it exactly the same way. And this is 4.5 by 3 1/4. And then that just goes on the inside. Okay, so that is the card. And now I wanted to share with you the address to you. So we're going to be looking at 3 different, or like at class, we'll be doing 3 different looks with the stamps that are in here for our envelope. And using Memento Tuxedo Black ink on this. And the images have an open area on it, and that's where you can put seasonal motifs on it. And what I like to do, well, let's do this here first. Okay, so I'm going to take the flowers, and we're just going to kind of continue our look here on the outside. Look how cute that is. Adorable. So with the address to you, you know, you can position this on either corner, that we kind of play around with that. It's got kind of the 4 seasons, or we got 3 seasons here. There's snowflakes, there's some evergreen trees, the flowers, and then a happy birthday here. And so I'm just going to use the flowers as like I said, a continuous motif. And then I'm going to go ahead and color the front of this too. And let me get some different scrap here. Take some scrap cardstock if you're going to color the flowers with your blends on your envelope. And this is another tip, because if you don't, you're going to have bleed through the backside. Is that any big deal? Probably not so much, but I don't want it to be that. So put some scrap cardstock behind there, and then, you know, color your flowers or whatever image. If you're going to, you know, be doing some coloring to the outside of your envelope using blends, again, it will bleed through. And we just want to make sure that that's, you know, you don't see it on the back side. Okay. So cute. So now, like in the ultimate coordination, and see how you got that little bleed through there, that would definitely bleed through all the way on the back. You can kind of see through it, and you know how that looks when it does bleed through on the back side. So now when somebody gets your card, you have it addressed, and you've got the outside that coordinates. Instead of having like the stamped image here, you have the whole area of where you're going to put the recipient's address there. And it's going to just coordinate so cute with it all. I love it. Absolutely love it. And so there'll be 3 cards that you'll be making at class that all will be using the different, you know, we'll do 2 with the flowers, 1 with the balloon, play around with both of the open areas there with it, as well as using the sentiments and some of the other images here for the round of hellos. Here are the other cards. I mean, absolutely bonkers. Okay, so here's one of the other cards. And the other cards. And then they'll have coordinating envelopes that will go with them. And again, you can see where we're using both the address to you and the round of hellos. All right, let me go ahead and I'll turn the camera around. And well, as you can see that I had some frozen up moments again on this. And my goodness, I thought about recording the video and then just uploading it so there wouldn't be any buffering issues, but I was having such good luck this morning, and so I thought I'd go ahead and try this, but might have to go ahead and definitely call my internet provider and get it all worked out. Well, thanks guys for tuning in today. I hope that you enjoyed the fun fold to see how this was made, as well as maybe get a hint of how you could use the addressed for you, and kind of see a little bit of an insider's view of what my kits might look like if you decide to ever get a creative class kit to go. Thanks for watching, everybody, and happy crafting. Bye-bye.